Uh, Hello everyone. I just need to figure out how to share this somewhere. I don't know if anyone is currently watching, and I don't think you are because I can't see anyone there. I'll just once more. I'll just share it to you. Okay, hang on. All right, there we go. Okay, so hopefully whoever wants to watch this, they can find it. But this is the Ender 3 Pro. I have a few of these already, and I just figured that if I do a tutorial on a setup of it, I might just wait until a couple of people start watching. That's if anyone will. Alrighty. Okay, so just in case anyone starts watching this back, even though there's no one watching now. Alright. I'll just wait a little bit. Sorry about the silence. If this is staying up, I might even be able to edit this out, so I don't know if anyone's even going to be able to hear this. Alright, so sort all this out. Just get everything set up at the moment. Once I repost this video, I'll post up where you can sort of skip to if you want to jump forward. But a lot of this stuff here I don't really hold on to right away, and just put a lot of this off to the side. Alright, so okay, so there's at least one other person watching besides myself. So I may as well get started. Anyway, this is what you see when you open the box. First thing I do is you take the instructions out, obviously. Then you've got your LCD display. You got your crossbars. See, I'm not going to name everything like they do on a lot of other these videos because I just find it's a little bit too complicated listening to all the names. Alright, so then, oh hang on, and the power box, and when I take that out I make sure it's set to the right voltage. So lift the top section out, and then we have the extruder that actually drives the filament into the printer. So, and then when you lift this out, just try and hold it by a lot of the bars. So every time I get these out, the wheels are off. So just untangle it all. What I'll do is I'll just lay everything out first. So these are your vertical bars to go up. Inside those, you've got your right. This is it's all Z-axis, we call it. Right. You've got your power cord, which you won't need right away. Scraper and filament holder. Alright, so what I'll do is I'll just get everything out. So I can move the box out of the way. Okay, so what I normally do is I'll lay everything out really quickly so it's nice and easy to find. So just get all the plastic off everything first. Okay, so when you take out these two, you'll notice one has holes and the other one has two holes at the bottom, like so. The way they go is when you're looking from the front of the printer. So when it's like this, so with the drive motor at the back, they go that way. So the holes are at the bottom that side and that is on the inside. So you sort of lay everything out, and then this gets attached to the back of that. I find having set up a couple beforehand, it does help a lot for laying everything out. Alright, so these two are different as well. You'll notice this one has two holes that are further in on one side. So that is the one that holds the printhead. This one goes on top. Okay. I'm just going to throw a lot of stuff on the floor at the moment. Alright, so got the belt holder, which goes at the end of that. Got your limit switch. If you're looking for a place to buy the Creality printers, you can only really order them online as far as I know. I don't know anywhere you can buy them in a store. And I just buy them from Creality3donline.com, the actual official site, because I don't know, I'm just a stickler for buying them direct from a place. And a lot of people buy them from other places, but I mean, you do hear of people complaining about problems of the beds being warped and stuff, and I haven't had any problems yet, so that's why I keep buying from the same place. But anyway, this is the switch to stop the printer head from coming down and driving straight through the platform. This A lot of people have print problems because they use the micro SD card that comes with it. I've had 2 out of the 6 printers I've bought. The SD card has died, or this thing has died. Don't trust these. So if you've got a better SD card, use that. And if you're going to print something off the bat, don't print something off of this straight off, because yeah, your printer can do some really weird stuff. Okay, so take that out of the packet. Alright, so the control panel goes at the front. And I don't pull the plastic off until the whole thing is together. Alright, so in this one here, the only thing you really need at the start is the tools. Alright, this one here, this is where I'll need to quickly look at the instructions to see which tools are which bolts are which. Here you will need one of these at some point, and one large, one small of the blue. Okay, that goes on there, which is just something quick and simple. Okay, so we have the belt. Okay, the belt goes around this bar, which pulls the printhead up there. Alright, so I'll just quickly check which bolts we need. Helps if I read it right side up. Okay, so for a lot of the first ones, 545. Alright, so we need the big ones, alright, to start with. Then small, and then okay, so that is one that always annoys me, because in the instructions it actually doesn't say which bolts these are. So you always have to deduce it. And what it is, it's these 2 silver ones. Okay, so, alright. The 2 silver ones go to the power box. These really small ones go with your screen. The largest ones, the 45, for holding the frame together at the start. I just try to pre-open them and sit them around so that I don't have to worry about opening them later. Trying to remember which ones are which now. Don't throw the instructions away until you're finished. Alright, so then you need... Alright, so these ones here are for holding these pieces on there. And then These last 4 are for the top bar. Alright. So this is supposed to be fast, but I have no idea how long it's been going for already. Alright, so first things first. You don't need these. You don't need any of that just yet. You don't need any of that just yet. So I'll put all that aside in the box. Oh, there was 2 more screws I don't think I mentioned. Which ones are those? Trying to think now. Oh, I'll get to it. But anyway. So I'll always check underneath and put the screws on the bed underneath. Hang on, I'll just move the camera down a bit. And hopefully I don't lose reception or anything, because we've got storms coming at the moment. But yeah, just put the wheels on and I tighten them completely so that it brings the bed all the way down to the bottom. Just make sure cords and things are out of the way so you don't damage anything. Alright, so once you wind all these down, because if you forget this, you can drive the printhead straight down into your magnetic pad at the bottom and damage it straight away. So okay, while it's upside down, another thing I do is just check the bed to make sure it's not shaking. This one is like wobbling a tiniest amount, but nothing really dramatic that's really going to faze me. Actually, it will. This one here needs tightening. As you can see, there's a bit of a wobble there. So I will get the tools. I'll just put this down a bit. Alright, so that's the thing. They are a little bit awkward to flip over and stuff. But with the wheels on the bottom, you just actually I don't even know if I really need to. I don't think I do. I won't worry about it. But to do those, there's this. Can't really get it close enough. Hang on. You'll see just in here, there's these ones, and then there's a small one on top. If you just wind this out a little bit, wind that in, and so on and so forth, you'll be able to move the wheel up and down, and that tightens it and pulls the bed closer, pulls the bed to it. So it took me a little bit to figure that one out actually, because I kept tightening one screw or the other and didn't know what was going on. Wondered why it kept falling off the tracks. So sorry, I'm just trying to fix this camera. Okay. Alright, so once you've got that happening, now as you look at the printer from front on, you get this one here. So the 2 holes are low and on the inside, and they go upright like that. I'm a little more prepared than this, but I'm just not used to doing videos very often. And sometimes I can be a little awkward when I do things too. Alright, so just put those two in. Sort of both, try and get both in at the same time, and just get them so that they're slightly tight or just slightly firm. So you can line all this up. It depends how big you're printing. See, I don't print stuff that's very, very high. So to me, if these aren't perfectly square, it doesn't really affect my prints overall. But I haven't tightened that completely at the moment anyway. Alright, then this one here. 2 small holes go at the bottom on this side. The reason I'm doing this, if you're wondering, the reason I'm doing this as a live video too is just I'm way too busy at the moment to really do much video editing. So I figured I really need to put this printer together and I may as well film it at the same time. Right, so I'm bound to do something wrong at some point though, I think. As we all do. You just don't see a lot of the things I do wrong because I don't post about that. Alright, so just tighten these up. Alright, now what you can do, just lay that down. Because I see a lot of people do this in some really weird ways, but what you can do is just hold the bar against here. And make sure they sit flat. And they give these a bit more of a tighten then. Alright, like so. And then that should be nice and flat across. One side. Alright, just make sure you do both sides. Alright, I have another printer going in the background. I don't know whether you can hear it. All the other ones I've got in the bedroom, so keep all the noise down a bit. But one thing I've noticed with the latest printers I've been buying, they have the quieter motors and everything in. Oh, they have something quieter in. Not real fully up to date with the tech of it. Alright, so put those on. They say to put the screen on next. I just find it gets in the way while you're moving things around. Same as the power box really, that's sort of in the way. The power box pretty much just screws to there at the moment. And that is what the 2 little silver ones are for. Alright. want to do next is you have your limit switch. Actually, I forgot that one. They're just a couple of little end caps that go on the ends of the top bar. Alright, so with the limits, with the switch, just undo this. So, I don't know where the camera is, but yeah, undo this so that they stick out a little bit. And then when you put that on the side, alright, so you put it on the side that way and put those two in the groove and then just slide it straight down so that this touches the bottom, and just unscrew it a bit so that you start seeing it coming out, and then screw it back in. Do it with the bottom one first, I find, and then that way if it works then you know it's locked in, or if it's locked in you know it worked. Alright, and then do the one above it, and with the one above it you can actually see it down inside the groove. So you can see the little piece just turn and locking it in place. Alright, so that's the switch that the bar comes down and hits. Alright, what we got next? Alright, we got the stepper motor. Alright, this one goes on the side here. This little plug that's really short with the little Z does not go in it. Where does it go? Had the wrong one then. Alright, that goes around that side. That goes in your switch. Alright. Okay. That's the one I was after. Alright. There's a wider plug there. That one goes into your stepper motor. I just find it's a little bit easier just plugging that in first. Alright. So then you get the M4, which is your little sort of more like a screw head. So I'm not able to see chat at the moment, but I will have a bit of a look if I can. Alright, so find the right Allen key for that. And they go in from this side into those two holes that are in that pole. So one thing I've noticed about this one is the belt is really loose. So there must be something else going on down there. Because they're not always like that. Sometimes things look like they're all together, but that's where it's best to just go across and check it all. So make sure that's nice and tied up against the pole. Alright, so then you get your Z-axis screw. This big curly rod, and that goes in this one here. Now one thing, make sure this is really tight. If this isn't tight, what can happen, and use the right Allen key for a start. If this isn't tight, then what the hell? Must have been that one. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Okay. Yeah, what it can do is the whole, it can slip as it's driving, doing layer by layer. So when I had one actually slip, and it was really funny because it was messing my print up so much, and I could not figure out what the cause was. And it was all because, but as I was holding things, I could feel things moving, and I ended up tracing it back to what wasn't moving. So, and that was how I found the problem. which is normally the best way to find the problem on these things. Okay, on the side, may as well plug this one in. This Z little one goes in the switch. Alright. Oops. That's not good. It's okay, I didn't break anything. Alright. This is the part that's a little bit annoying, but first I'll just fix the belt on the bottom. Okay. So as you can see, the belt is really loose. Alright. So the way you tighten the belt is you undo these screws on these bolts on the side. And I do find sometimes, like I have had one similar like this where it looks like it's all bent. But then once I've taken it off, it all looks fine once I put it back together again. So sometimes they can be a little bit deceiving. It's just a matter of the bolts or something like that being out of whack. Hopefully this video is interesting and helpful enough. Even if one person is finding it useful. Okay, so by the look of it, this one here, what they've done, but it still looks okay. But this is the first one I've had that has actual noticeable damage because of something. Just on the side there, you can see this was driven into the side just there. But that's not going to affect it. So, alright, so what I do is just pull that out to hand strength. Just make sure there's nothing else inside there where it's caught or. Alright, so I find pulling it out by hand at the bottom like that. And then tighten the inner one. Alright, and make sure it's straight. Sorry, probably got my big buff head in the way. Yeah, so now that those two are tighter, pull it down. And as you pull that down, it's pulling it forwards a little bit more, so it's just tightening that a little bit more than what you can just with hand pressure. So I have found, I've played around with the belts. I've had some really tight, had some sort of loose, and they all seem to work fine. One thing I have noticed with this one, where the belts connect underneath, they're sort of off to one side. So that's why, as you can see, the belt is traveling off to one side. So, but should be okay for the time being, but I probably will have to fix that. Oh, actually, I think the belt just needs to be pushed over. Alright, so the belts just clip in underneath, and I should have done that before I tightened it. But this is a new discovery for me as well. I haven't had to fix this before. But I'm just going to undo that and fix it. Sorry. It's just, didn't realise. Alright. But that's one thing that you come across. Like, there are a couple of things that I'll mention as I put this all together. The problem's pretty much the same as what I'm having right now, that I've had to fix. And that's why with each one that I put together, I'll go through and check. But as you can see there, I don't know if you can see, but that's off center and they're sort of clipped off to the side. But they slide into a groove, and as they go in that groove, they go in and then across, and they just, because it was loose when it was traveling, they've just slidden across. So nothing major. But see, if you don't look for things like that, they can cause a lot of issues down the track. So if I had left that and I didn't bother about it, the belt would have gradually just worn away on one side, and I just would have had a lot of issues further down the track. Oh, it's a very difficult spot to get to. Sorry, just need something to do that with, like a ruler. Yeah. And if you're doing this sort of thing too, just be mindful that above it, like up on that plate, there's a heat pad and electronics, so don't hit anything up underneath there. Just to be careful. Alright, so now that that belt is connected in the middle or closer, I'll fix that back up. Alright, so like I did before, just the two inner ones. I am glad people are watching, so thank you. I'd hate to be doing this with 0 people watching, but it doesn't really matter because I'd be doing it anyway. I just wouldn't be filming it. So that wasn't quite straight. Alright, so just give those two a little bit of a tighten. Pull that down. And tighten the rest. Sorry if I don't reply to any comments as well. I will get to them as soon as I see them. Alright, so just give those a final tighten. Alright. Okay, so as you can see, this one's still a little off to the side, but anyway, that is good for now. Okay, next comes this part, which is a pain. Oops, sorry. Okay, we'll just move that over there. Okay, so what you need here. Just go try and think now. Right. So it's that one there, is it? No, wrong side. Okay. So you'll see on this pole, there's two holes. One's closer to the edge than the other, and one side is drilled out more than the other. Get the side that's more drilled out. Get this part, which is your extruder, and then get that the short end, and put that hole over that. Right. And then once you do that, put two of these ones in from the other side. So, and you put those in from inside here. And I'll forget what size they are. That was a good guess. Alright, so alright, you just put those in from this side. So I don't know if you're watching this and you don't follow my artwork, I make long fingers, and if I could make multiple extra fingers for doing stuff like this, that would be really helpful, because I have trouble holding on to things. Okay, so put the other one in. Alright, so as you can see there, those two screws just going on the inside into there. Alright, so as you put this piece on, there's a couple of checks that I normally do here as well. Alright, so just make sure that's tight. Alright. With this, I've had a couple of problems. One, it says in the instructions anyway, check these two screws, because the best way to have those, if I can get the right one, there we go. What you do is, they'll most probably be really tight. Just undo them about half a turn, like so. Yeah, so about half. All right, and then another one is this one here. All right, not many people and hardly any videos I see check this. You got to check this one here, because if that's too tight, this won't, when you squeeze it, it won't pull back and it won't clamp the filament. So for about a week, I had so many problems trying to clean nozzles, thinking I had blocks, heaps of stuff. But what it was this was just too tight. So just undo that a bit, just so that it's not too tight, so you can see that the releases as you bring it back. All right, anyway, that goes on there. Next, you want to bring this over. All right, so, and you have your print head. Make sure the cables are coming between the two poles, and that's facing that way. All right, this then goes on the pole. A lot of times, or sometimes that may be loose. Just do the same thing in here as I was saying with the bed underneath, with this bolt and this bolt on the inside. Just adjust those so that the wheel moves a little bit closer to tighten it. All right. Okay, so that's that. And where are we? Getting a little mixed up. Okay. So while I've got that on there as well, I'll just put one of these in there, like so. Just give that a quick tighten, because I have had these things come undone too, if they're not solid enough. All right, put that in there. At least in that way it's not bothering you too much. Okay, next, have this piece here. All right, I'll try and remember now. Where am Alright, so this one, like so. And then put the screws through from the inside. And they are the other two little black screws with the little washers in them. Yeah, so this one is probably don't do it too tight because you will want to adjust it once it's on. Like, we'll want to tighten it up once you've put it on the two main rods. So, but just put these together. Okay, so I'll tighten the outer one, but just not the inside one as much. Alright, okay, so then it's like so, and actually I'll put the other piece on first. Then you have the belt holder or tightener. So this goes on this end like so, and this is the same as the switch on the side. It's got these little holders. So like I was saying, I'm trying not to use the names as much because I want everyone to be able to understand this. Alright, yeah, so just undo those and put that on, just not too tight because you'll need to undo it to tighten it. Okay, then you get your belt. Oh my god, this is nearly an hour already, I'm so sorry. It was like half an hour, 20 minutes of me pulling pieces out of a box. Alright, okay, so with the belt, I'll try and move this down actually a bit. Okay. Okay, so with the belt, just lay it on top, like so. Slide the printhead across. Okay, and just pull that through. Put it around the motor at the end. Now I would show a close-up of this, but I mean, you can sort of, if you look at it, it's quite obvious. It's just a little wheel with teeth. This thing flipped over. So I don't know why the belt flipped over then. Yeah. Alright. Okay, and just try not to roll these beds too fast either, like I just almost did. Okay. Sorry, that twisted belt really annoys me. Okay. It's just not going back. All right. Okay. There we go. And this little thing, I don't know what it's for actually, but it's helpful for stuff like that. There probably is something, and someone will point it out to me at some stage. Okay, so just run the belt around the end, like so. Try and make it look less uncoordinated than me. Okay, so what you want to do just underneath here, you'll see the belt slides into those little grooves. So what you do is you slide that into the little groove like so, and pull the other end of the belt over. And I forgot to mention, when you put that on, make sure it is sort of loose up against there as well, otherwise this belt will be too hard to put on. And then slide that side into that one like so. Then you can tighten your belt. If you don't forget where you put your tools. Or you don't drop them. Alright, so with this one I do it the same. I sort of push that out with my thumb and it ends up at a bit of an angle. Tighten the inside one and then lift that up so that the belt is clearing these edges. Alright, and then tighten that one. Okay, now go try and finish this. Alright, so then you put, where are we? Okay, then you put this on top, like so. Right, and you're over here, you've got the rod, goes up into that hole that you loosened the screws on before. And just give that a bit of a turn to lower the bar down. So, and then what I do is I just make sure pretty much that both wheels are coming down evenly. And if they look pretty much right to me, I don't worry about going into too much effort for leveling. So then that's when I'll tighten this other one on the inside for the wheels. So, because I know that's straight. All right. Okay, so, all right. So that's right. Run those cords out underneath. Okay, now all we have left is the screen and power and the rod on top. Whoops, sorry, forgot to move the camera back. My bad. All right, okay. So one thing I do too, just try not to touch the bed too much because you get a lot of grease and oily stuff on your hands. So if you touch the bed, it'll just sort of leave a residue on that too. You might have problems with your prints not sticking. All right, so and we put this rod on top. All right, and the reason I do the power box and the screen last as well, just in case you don't want to actually attach them to it, in case you want to put them off to the side or just keep them separate from the machine itself, in case you want to put them in an enclosure. Alright, so, alright, these are the last 4 for the frame. You know, when I put these together without filming it, I do it in half an hour, so I really have no idea how I've taken this long. Okay, so you want to tighten that one up. Right, so one thing they do too in the instructions is they attach the filament, the spool holder up on the top, and then it comes down into the extruder and it wears a hole in the plastic, and so people print modifications for that. But I mean, why go to that much trouble when you can just mount it on another area of the frame? So I'll show you that in a second. But what you want to do is grab two of the really small ones and come down here, and these go onto the screen. So, but to save fiddling with cords, you want this little rainbow cord. Bring that through, and that goes on to the far left plug. I wondered what the other plugs are for, because I got a few of the printers. I was wondering if I could run multiple printers off the plugs, but turns out what some really helpful person told me was they use them in multiple machines, so they use the plugs for whichever machine it is. So like CR10 and things like that, which is quite handy to know actually. Not that I'd really go swapping things over, but you never know. A lot of things I said I wouldn't do, I'm doing now, so. Alright, so just put those two screws in. And I don't know if any of you guys watching have got one at the moment, but the reason I thought I'd do it live too was so that people could just build theirs and watch along, and probably have as much frustration as I do when it comes to putting in screws. Okay, alright, so that's the screen on the front, and then you just got the power box on the back. Okay, so see, I don't know what that is, but it's all oil come out of something. I think it's out of the off the belt. Yeah. All right. So what you want here is the yellow plug, and just make sure that a lot of these are out of the way, because this cord here that goes to the bed moves back and forth constantly. So what you want is a nice clear path for that. So you want to try and bring this one underneath everything, or out of the way. Actually, I think it might be better that way. Yeah. So if I bring that through that way, it's out of the way. These two cords I normally bring out through there, and then I just sort of bend that one a bit so that it comes backwards. But as long as you do that and keep a lot of the cords nice and neat when you first start, because if you don't watch it, when it first prints, if you haven't taken care of this cord, as it comes backwards, that can actually get jammed in the bed just here, and it can, yeah, I had that happen with one. So yeah, see, you learn these things from experience. Best way to go, I reckon. And or you get people like me doing a video and telling you what I learnt. Okay, so you want to plug this one into here with two hands. Alright. Okay. Alright, and then you bring this up onto the side. And then you get these two silver ones, which they don't mention in the instructions. See, another one I actually had, the one I opened and set up a couple of days ago. One thing I had with that actually was the fan. I noticed I did a print, and I did the exact same print I'm doing on all my other printers, but it had a lot of stringing of plastic, like it was just too hot. And so I ended up watching it, and I noticed that the fan on the side wasn't working. So what I did was opened up this one and just checked the connections, and it must have just not been plugged in correctly, and fiddling around with it ended up fixing the fan, and there, so fixed the problem. So it was something very, very minor, and to be honest, I don't even know how I fixed it. It was just a matter of moving the cord around, and yeah, it came good. So, all right. So there's a few things about the print bed too, which I find can be a bit of a problem. But as long as you just check those things, it's all good. Like, yeah. All right. Okay. That's all on there now. I don't need. Oh, okay. Need one of these. This is pretty much all we're going to need left. One of these. Yeah. Okay. So just need those and the big and small little blue pieces out of here. Okay, the blue pieces, big one. Before you put it on, just make sure that that tube is pushed down into there as far as it'll go, because it needs to be pushed up against the actual print head, like the nozzle at the bottom. Even though the nozzle gets really, really hot, the plastic won't melt. It just needs to be up against it. All right, and then the other one goes in this spot, like so. That saves them coming undone and the tubes from slipping out. Okay, now with spool holder and one of these. This is how I do it. Okay, get this, put it through that hole. Put this one on the other side. All right, get your Allen key. All right, so, and then bring that down. And then what I do is I put it in this slot just here, but I angle it so it's angled to halfway across that. Okay. And then just slide it backwards and forwards a little bit so that you can feel it sort of gripping, and that way you can get it back this way, sort of as far as you can. And then I tighten that up. And then that way the filament runs up around and only rubs up against the rod. So there's no wear and tear on the plastic, and you don't have to go printing anything to fix it. So, I mean, why print something if you don't have to? Just more trouble than it's worth. All right. So next, we have the cords. And that should pretty much be the only cords that you will have left over. Unless the ones for actually, with this too, just make sure you clip that in the top because it can get in the way. Yeah, unless these two plugs are out of here, just check them anyway, because like I was saying, some plugs, some screws may not just be plugged in properly. All right, so you've got these three. You've got one that has an E, right? The E goes to the extruder. Okay, then after that, the other two, they're your X. Your X's thingy-majiggies. Anyway, one goes in the bottom of the stepper motor, like so. And the other can be a bit of a pain, but this one goes in. I don't know if you can see it. Goes just in there. You'll see a little switch, a little plug that it goes into. And normally I just sort of get that, put it in by holding the cords and then push it the rest of the way with my finger. All right. And I think that's it. All right. Oh, apart from the little dressy bits. Okay. All right, so you just have pretty much, yeah, all you have left is these two little parts on the top. These two little pieces. They just go in the ends here. Like so. Alright, and what I'll do is I'll just move everything aside. And may as well, seeing as I've been going to all this effort and it's already been over an hour, I may as well do a print, or at least set up the start of a print so you can see how to level if you haven't done that before. Alright, so more or less just plug it in like you would any electrical appliance. And luckily I have a cord I prepared. Alright, now this is where we peel that off. Yeah, anyway. Fun. Alright. Okay. This filament here, I'm actually holding on to a lot of it, but I just want to use it to set this up. Okay. So what you want to do, turn it on. And all right, one thing you notice, these ones are so quiet, these newer ones that they're sending out for some reason. I really don't know why. I'm just trying to get that at an angle where you can see the writing on the screen. Makes it a little bit difficult. Yeah, oh anyway. Okay, so what we want to do is, I don't know if you can see the screen because I'm having a bit of trouble seeing it on the camera, but I just go to prepare and then scroll down to auto home and just check that belt, that cord at the back while it's driving backwards. Alright, so as it comes down, you'll notice it's quite a fair way away from the head. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that very well, but yeah, there's quite a gap there at the moment. So what I do is I'll just scroll that across so much, but the thing is, if I only scroll that one, these other three are going to interfere with it. So what you need to do is you need to actually unscrew like all of them, and you do that clockwise, and I just do that to a certain degree until they start to feel a little bit loose. Well, not too loose, but yeah, about as much as the first one that I did. Alright, so then what you need to do is go into your control screen again, go to prepare, and then scroll down to disable steppers. Alright, you just hear it disengage there. Now I can roll this back and forth, and I can focus the camera. No? Alright. But as you can see, it's reasonably close now, but it still has a fair way to go. So I just keep going until it's reasonably close. Alright, and then I'll just, at the moment, I'm just going to use the plastic bag that came with it because the nozzle isn't on, so it's not going to burn a hole in the plastic. Alright, so I just want to get that to the point where it's sort of gripping the edge of the bag like that. There we go. Bring that across, and oh, look at that. That's a bit better. Okay, bring that across. That one's a bit too high, so just wind that down a little bit. Okay, so the whole leveling thing can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too difficult. But I tend to do it as I'm printing more so than doing it beforehand. But the reason I do it with a new one straight at the start like this too is because you need to, but also just to see if the springs need stretching, because the springs underneath, I've got one there. It's quite funny. I got one there that was printing overnight, and I came out the next day and two of the wheels underneath had fallen off because they just gradually unwound themselves, so because they were that loose. But now it's pretty much right. So what I'll do is I'll just I just need a quick memory card. I will just quickly format the one that came in it and throw something on that. Just so that I can see if it's level. It's a lot easier to level with the white filament. So just got my computer behind me here. I'll throw something on it quick. And the best thing, what I find the best thing to do is to reformat that. But if it's your first printer, don't grab everything off at first. So, because I'm not saying it's definitely going to be corrupted, but it has got the slicing program that you need for printing on it, unless you want to download that direct from the site. Alright, so I've got something here to put on it. Alright, so I just want to really, it's just something basic, but the main reason I'm doing it is the thing I'm printing has a bed at the bottom, has a raft at the bottom, so at least that raft will give me a good idea of whether it's level or not. Alright, so what we want to do, just go in, initialize TF card, print. Alright, and now that's heating up. So I'll just get the filament that came with it, which these can be a pain. Oh my god, I just found the end a second ago, would you believe it? Alright, there we go. Okay, get the end of this. Alright, try and get this correct, this in the right spot. Okay, so I should have put the camera on something else. Alright, so just get the filament, and what I find, because when it's curved it's really hard to put in, so the best thing to do is straighten it out and just make sure that your end isn't too dry, because as soon as you go to bend the end, if it snaps off, it's too dry. Just keep snapping it back until it's not doing that anymore. Alright, so you want to try and sort of straighten it out a bit and then bring that through here into the tube, which can be a pain. That's what I was saying about straightening it or bending it so that it lines up better. Actually, another thing you can do is just trim the end off as well, just so it hasn't got those sharp edges that can catch. Alright, so just feed that through while holding the clamp. Alright, so one thing I do notice is they do have a tight spot in some of them, but then as soon as you get past that tight spot it's okay. It must just be in shipping, it tends to like squeeze the tube or something. Alright, so should start up in a second, or very shortly. And then once this starts and more or less prints, it's just the shape. I'll call it quits on the video, but I do hope this is helpful though. While that's doing that, I'll just check a couple of things. Yep, alright. Okay, in this packet too, that I didn't open earlier on, if you take this out of here, you'll find this is meant for cleaning the nozzle. What I find is I got one from somewhere, and I got them out of a couple of things. I got one with a Dremel printer, and I got one with a the CR10 printer, but they're actually like a wire rod, which is the same diameter as the filament. And then what you do is I cut the filament out, but then I'll take this tube out of here, heat the nozzle up, and then push the wire rod down through, and that drives out any dry filament or any blocks, and it tends to fix any problem. I haven't really needed to use this except for when I've used different materials. But this should start up any second. But what you'll notice is it goes to this corner when it starts. I've actually put in my own G-code. When I first started printing, I figured out the G-code and everything in like the first week and made my own. But what you'll see is it does its own purge line for the filament. But one thing you'll notice with these is this is actually the home starting point, and the magnet doesn't reach it. So you need to bring the magnet forwards just a little bit. But one thing I find about it doing this too is wipes the plastic away. And another thing I mentioned about the bed earlier, make sure this side isn't colliding with the power box. And we'll just quickly check that. I only leveled it really quick, so it's not going to be really good. Actually, it seems alright. I'll just raise that back corner a little bit. Other than that, that seems not bad. Right. I did that by eye too. Alrighty. Okay, well, looks like this is all working fine. And that's pretty much how you set up the Ender 3 Pro. That's how I do it anyway. There are just little things that you'll notice. Sometimes when you remove the magnetic bed to clean off whatever you've printed, make sure you clean out underneath, or make sure you don't drop anything underneath, like little tiny specks of dirt or plastic, because they'll create little indentations underneath and rise up, and you'll have little lumps underneath the magnet. And as you print, you'll see that in the actual print itself, and it will affect it. And yeah, so a lot of the times when you have problems like that, they work their way up the print and for a few layers. That's why I find a lot of the things I make, I do the beds on, the rafts on, so I don't have to worry about that. And then that way I can just hit print and walk away, not worry. But yeah, that's everything. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and this was, like I said, this was only done because I've been buying so many of these, and I thought it would be helpful to anyone who watches my page and stuff. And sorry it took so long, but thanks very much for watching, and I shall see you all next time if I can figure out how to stop this. Bye.